Hello, Mike Biltberger, and it's time to do the August 22nd High Banks Highlights race recap of the racing at Grandview Speedway, 1/3 mile high banked oval located right off of Route 100 in Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania. Solid field of cars entered for the racing action for August the 22nd, 37 Crate Sportsman, 41 small block modifieds. 4 qualifying events were needed for both classes, with 2 consolations to set the field for the Crate Sportsman 25-lap main with 26 cars going to the green, and 30 laps for the small block modifieds with 28 cars headed to the Ray Kemp green. Here's how things went down. For the Crate Sportsman, your first heat winner was the 10K, Caitlin Bailey. Matthew Laubach in the 7 was your second heat winner. Getting the third heat win, driving a 611, Brett Grimm, and getting the fourth heat win, the 4R Jordan Henn. 2 consolations were needed, getting the consolation wins in the 2, Mike Schneck Jr., and returning to Grandview in the 14, the Belmont's Garage 14, was Bryce Bayshore getting the second consolation. That set the field for the 25-lap A-main. Fantastic racing. It was Xavier Sprague jumping out and assuming command early. But coming through the field was Matthew Laubach in the 17. Had a couple of restarts along the way, and the one restart was the downfall of Sprague coming off of turn 4. Laubach got a little bit high, pinched Sprague against the wall. Xavier couldn't continue on, had to pull into the infield as a DNF. But the racing was fantastic. No front stretch major incidents this week, which is a definite plus. For the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple scattered events on the front straightaway with as many as 13 cars involved in the one. But fantastic racing for the Crate Sportsman. Getting his first career win driving the 17 was Matthew Laubach. But on the charge, closing in fast but running out of laps, the 4R of Jordan Henn. Your final podium finisher was the 19 multi-time feature winner this year, Brad Brightbill. Finishing fourth was the 41 Nick Van Wickle. In fact, Nick was your hard charger, advancing 12 positions. That's one thing I got to say about the racing down at Grandview. Your hard charger doesn't come from 3 spots. Most of their hard charger awards are coming from double digits. So an advancement of 12 spots for Nick Van Wickle, getting fourth in the 41. Addison Meitzler, the 29G, finishing fifth. Right behind Addison was the 20M Mark Moore. In fact, Mark was up to fifth, but Meitzler got by. But another good showing for the 20M feature winner this year, Mark Moore. Finishing sixth, the 9-7 Teague Miller. We can always count on Teague being in the top 10 when the checker is thrown. Eighth was your current point leader, Joe Toth. He actually distanced himself a little bit from Colin Cox. Colin did not finish in the top 10. Ninth, going to the 14, Nate Brinker. It's nice to see Nate returning to Grandview. He was a regular a couple seasons ago in the sportsman and the modified classes with wins. But getting a ninth in the 14 was Nate Brinker. And rounding out your top 10, his driver took a week off to get his team regrouped and then was heading down to the Speedway last week only to have the hauler break down. But a nice return for Joey Vaccaro in the Yellow Submarine 53 to get 10th. Small block modifieds, 41. 4 heats were needed, 2 consolations. Your first heat win, Darren Schuler in the 74. Darren set a blistering pace in his number 74, winning the heat, the 12 laps, by a whole straightaway. That's how fast Darren was in his qualifying event for the small block modifieds. Your second heat winner was Rick Laubach. So we had Matthew Laubach winning the second Crate Sportsman win. We have Rick Laubach winning the second small block modified win in the 7. Third modified win going to the 31 of Chris Esposito with the 87 of Eric Bean, who's still trying to shake off some hard luck this season, getting the fourth heat win in the 87. 2 consolations were needed. Nathan Moore, strong run. He was actually third with like 2 laps to go on a restart. Got around both the second and first place cars to grab the lead and get the consolation win in the 17M with the 101. Not Ryan Graver, Alex Yankowski driving the 101. Yankowski had the Stankiewicz 2 out for hot laps, had some issues, pulled it into the pits, could not continue on. Got the ride in the Ryan Graver 101 and won the second consolation. That set the field for the 30-lap main. No provisionals were needed. A couple of early race yellows sort of slowed the racing down. There was some 3-wide action. In fact, at one point there was a 4-wide spread across the track in turns 3 and 4. And here's how things went down. Getting his third win in the last month, the 19K Brett Kressley. In fact, Brett keeps mentioning, he says they had to ditch the car they started at the season, the black 19K, found some speed in the red 19K, getting his third feature win in the last 4 weeks. Finishing second was the 942 of Tim Buckwalter. Strong showing for Tim. In fact, he had a ward all advances of the 4M Logan Watt. Logan tried a couple times to get around Buckwalter. It wasn't going to happen. In fact, he did have a slight advantage heading into turn number 3 for that second spot, but coming off of turn 4, Buckwalter was on the high side, found the high groove to his liking, maintaining the second spot, and finished in second, just ahead of the 4M of Logan Watt, who finished in the final podium spot of third. Finishing fourth, Rick Laubach. He got to congratulate his son Matthew for winning his first career sportsman win, but coming back to get a solid top 5 with a strong showing, getting fourth in car number 7. Mike Guler getting his best finish in the last couple of weeks, a 5th in the 53, finishing 6th, the 19 Jared Umbenhauer. Your 7th finisher was one of your heat winners in the 87. If this car can last 30 laps, it's guaranteed it's going to be up in the top 10. Eric Bean getting the 87 under the rate cap checker for 7th. 14W, Ryan Watt. Ryan had some heat race issues with some tires, came back out, qualified, and put the 14W into 8th when the checker was thrown. Trying to catch Eddie Strada for the point lead was Jeff Strunk in the 6 over. Jeff actually finishing 9th with Anthony Perego. Perego again had to use the consolation to qualify, but he put the 4 under the checker for a 10th place finish. In fact, Perego was your hard charger, going from the 25th starting spot to 10th place when the checker was thrown. Again, they had a couple of early race cautions. I believe it was only 3 cautions along the way. The last couple of laps were some fantastic racing. Again, like I said, the battle for second spot between Tim Buckwalter and Logan Watt was worth the price of admission alone. Next up, August 29th, Small Block Modifieds, 30 laps. Crate Sportsman, 25 laps. The Keystone Compact Series will be taking on the High Banks, the 4 cylinders. Had a good showing the last time here, so hope everybody has a safe and happy week. See you August the 29th down at Grandview Speedway.